Hey everybody, Gisele Grenier here. In today's video lesson, we're going to be working with some metallic paints and some crackle paint to try an experiment of working with contrast on the bottom, then putting the crackle paint where I can paint the crackle paint a metallic color. So I'm gonna see what we can do here. On the table, I guess I should show you what I'm using. I'm going to prime the 140-pound watercolor paper with Decor Media white gesso. The base color will be a solid diffusion of color made with chromatic black. And I'm doing that with the Decor Media Fluid Acrylics Raw Umber, Phthalo Blue, and Transparent Red Iron Oxide. Once that's dry, I'm going to apply a layer of matte medium to seal that. Then with a palette knife, I'm going to be applying some palette knife and a brush, some crackle paint, and this is white crackle paint. Then that's going to dry for 24 hours. I already have a piece that I've done, so that way I don't have to wait 24 hours. Then I'm going to brush on some Decor Media Fluid Acrylics Metallic Silver, which I did, and I wasn't thrilled with it, but I did it, so I'm going to show you. But I want to try the Luminous Gold because it seems to be, it's a glaze, so it's even more transparent. So trying all these experiments. This is a nice break from the, I'm going through a series of teaching portrait classes and landscape classes and actual formal mixed media classes. And this is a nice break to actually play instead of stuff being done that's so structured. So I'm going to take some gesso and I'm just going to apply a thin layer of gesso. It doesn't have to be anything perfect. And when you're working with a crackle product, while I'm talking, I'm going to do this. When you're working with a crackle product, it's important that your substrate be sturdy. Let's say if you working with just like a paper, like something that's photocopy paper, the crackle, it's just your paper's just going to curl. So working with something heavy works out nice. Even though it's 140 pounds, you can see it's starting to curl because of the moisture going into the water, and the paper's getting all fidgety about all the water in there. So that's why it's curling. And but when the water evaporates, it flattens out. So you want to use something that's going to be nice and sturdy. Even masonite works well. But these are all experiments. So experiments that we can use in artwork. So this is a great way. Do you know how many times I hear from people that they've done all this stuff and it's unfinished and they do the stuff but they don't know what to do with it? Create more artwork. You know how unique it'll be? Because you only have the one piece. It's going to be so unique. Alright, so I'm going to let this dry. And I just realized when I was drying this, I kind of looked to the side and I noticed my door was wide open. Somehow, somebody snuck in here and she was over there. Didn't even make a sound. So I kind of shoot her out and close the door. Alrighty, so now I'm going to take a smaller brush. This doesn't really matter. I'm going to take my Phthalo Blue and Raw Umber and I'm going to start painting. And this, it doesn't have to be solid. It can be, you know, different shapes, different textures. Doesn't really matter. Because when we put the crackle paint over that, we want some of this to show, and it's going to create quite the interest. That's see the Phthalo Blue, how bright it is? With the Raw Umber, it just neutralizes it. Do you know what would have been nice to put this on with? I don't know if Phthalo Blue, I always get it on me. Putting it on with a paper towel. I love the look. I love the look. You don't always have to use a paintbrush. You know, as I rub, some of the Phthalo Blue is coming up. I love that look. I love that. Oh, geez, that's nice just the way it is. Why do I always do this? I should work on something bigger, cut it down, and I always do this. Okay, well, I'm going to fill in some of the pieces of the white paper that's showing through. Look, look. Look at that. Oh, that's, take some of that up. Oh. I don't know how I want to, you know, nope, gonna stay focused. Gonna work on this one. Gonna dry this now. Okay, I'm having a real dilemma here. I don't want to do any more to this. I'll just have to create another video. I love that. All right, create another piece, I should say. All right, so now we're going to apply a layer of matte medium to that, and it's going to help the crackle paint, depending on how thick you put it on. Like I did one experiment where I put it on so thick that it actually peeled off. The matte medium just helps with the adhesion. So it doesn't have to be a lot. I like using a big brush. And just pop that on there. We're going to dry it. Then we're going to put on the crackle paint. And I'm going to try it with some parts with a brush and some parts with a palette knife. Now this matte medium is super adhesive, like the decoupage medium. So getting this on your fingers, what you want to do is clean your hands right away, because it does get sticky and it creates a film. You can also create some brush strokes in here if you wanted to. See, not like that, but you know what I mean. And they will stay visible. And for this particular point, it doesn't matter because we're overlaying some crackle paint on here. And I was inspired by that from, it was a show that we were watching, and there was a lot of antiquities in there, and one of the effects of plaster. It was an old statue piece, and had made with like almost like a plaster that was all cracked, and I love that look. All right, so I'm going to dry this now. So I'm going to be using the crackle paint. It's white, and now I'm going to take probably the small palette knife. First, give this stuff a stir. And just put it on. So thinking, I mean, you can put it on with a brush. The way the cracks are determined by the application. And the palette knife you want to use, this one's not too bad. You don't want it to have dried pieces of paint, because you'll get pieces like that. Actually, that's the texture on the substrate. I like that look right there. That's going to be small cracks. Oh, I was going to put some on with the brush. Oh well. And then you can touch the palette knife and lift it up and slide it to get some texture there as well, so it's not so flat. That's why I'm not holding it down, because I want it to be random. If you were doing it with a brush, you could use a little bristle brush and just put it on like that. But I kind of like the look of the palette knife, to be completely honest with you. I like the look of the palette knife. Some people don't like the palette knife. You know what? That's completely fine. I like that. On camera, looking at the monitor, that looks super bright. Oh, I hope that's not too bright for you on camera. That looks really bright. It's just the way the light's reflecting. Okay, so I'm going to, now this you have to let it, you can't use a heat gun. You have to let it dry. You have to let nature take its course. And just quickly wipe this down. I have a piece that's already done. So once that's dry, then what we'll do is, really you can paint it if you want, but ideally the dark bottom on it is going to show through the crackle. And then you end up with something like that. Okay, cracks. So I applied some silver here, and it wasn't really what I wanted. And it was this one here. Whoops. So I'm going to try with the luminous gold. I should have shook this before. Which is a glaze. Think of it like a transparent metal. Well, all metallics are transparent. So I'm going to try first with the brush. Just a light coat over it. Yeah, that's much nicer. That is really bright. Holy moly. Now the other thing I can do is with a paper towel and then just rub. What you have to be careful of is that you don't want to put so much of the product down that it seeps inside the cracks. And I'm looking here, either way works. Brush or paper towel. Either way works. So I'm just going to put some luminous gold everywhere. And my brush was damp, not soaking wet. I'll leave the silver there. But yeah, I'm liking this luminous gold. Just make sure you don't put so much that you lose the darks. Then from there, I can take another paper towel that's dry. Is that enough? Oh, baby wipe. Let me just squeeze the excess out of the baby wipe. Oh. And I'm just removing some spots of the gold, the luminous gold, so I can have some of the white crackle paint showing through, which is going to look more like plaster. I don't want it everywhere. So you really don't know until you actually see it. There we go. That's really nice. And so this would have been nice for background for even a portrait painting or still life or whatever. The texture though will affect how you paint this. So what you could do with this is just use it for mixed media. There's a dark piece there. Looks like there's a little bit of paint there. There we go. I love that. If you really want to push this even further, you can even glaze it with acrylic paint. That's talking to me right there. That transparent red iron oxide is talking to me. But no, I'm going to leave it. I don't want to, but I'm going to leave it. Because I ended up changing my mind 3-4 times during the video, and the video ends up being an hour. So nope, these are going to be short videos. But love that. So with this here, you can cut it into small artist trading card sizes, postcards. You can cut it into a small piece for miniature paintings. A lot of you are wanting to tackle large format paintings, break it down into something smaller, to smaller painting studies, practice on certain areas. And I've got a class I'm going to be teaching on that, about taking the overwhelm out of painting something large. Doesn't matter the subject matter. And then from there's also a mixed media course that probably by the time you're watching this video will already be underway. But it's available also as a self-study, and there's live streams for the class as well. So these are perfect things to use for those classes. Alrighty, so let me know what you think. Have you ever used crackle paint along with metallics to create a certain effect? Do you like working with a type of plaster? Do you like the look of plaster and old, the old antique style plaster with cracks and stuff like that? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up if you found this entertaining, because I'm always screwing up, right? And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything. And even better yet, go to artplace.ca, subscribe to the Creative Insider email list, and that's a weekly email that I send out with my free live streams and free tutorials. And while you're there, hop on and join the private Facebook group where all of you out there that are trying these projects are posting pictures in the Facebook group, and we can all comment and play together. Alrighty, so I'm going to clean up. Joe is probably, I can hear him tinkering downstairs. He's preparing lunch. So I'm going to clean up, go eat, and get ready for my next lesson when I'm finished. Alrighty? So until I see you then, stay inspired.